I'm Heath Lambert, and you're listening to Marked by Grace, a podcast applying the grace of Jesus to all of life. What does it mean for a deacon to be double-tongued? What does it mean for a deacon to be double-tongued? That's the question I'm taking this week on Marked by Grace. I want to welcome you to the podcast and invite you that if you have a question or a concern, an issue you'd like me to address, you can send it in to markedbygrace@fbcjax.com. That's markedbygrace@fbcjax with an x.com. And this week I'm taking your question about what it means for a deacon to be double-tongued. A question that makes sense if the word double-tongued creates any weird mental images in your mind when you think about what it might mean for somebody to be double-tongued. As the questioner indicates, we're talking about deacon requirements. We get this particular requirement in 1 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 8, and the prohibition against being double-tongued comes in 1 Timothy 3:8 in a string of 4 requirements. So the text says, deacons likewise must be dignified, not double-tongued, not addicted to much wine, and not greedy for dishonest gain. And so the question is, what does it mean to not be double-tongued? That might be the hardest one in that list of 4 there in 1 Timothy 3:8 to understand. And so what does it mean? What does it mean to not be double-tongued? Well, first thing we need to say about this is the only time in 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 8 that we get the use of the term double-tongued. That can make it a little hard to determine the meaning. One of the things that helps us when we determine the meaning of a word in the Bible is we're able to look it up and we're able to see other places that it's used in other contexts, and it helps to kind of camp out and scope out the field of meaning of the term. And we don't have other usages, as is the case with double-tongued. We don't have anything to compare it to, and that can make it a little bit hard to understand what it means. And so then we have to pay really close attention to the meaning of the word outside of the context of the New Testament. And the word here in Greek, many of you will know that when we read the language of double-tongued, that is an English translation of a Greek word, which is dilogos. And you can hear in there that it literally means 2 words, 2 logos words. And this was an ancient word used in the ancient world to refer to somebody who was inconsistent in their speech. If you think about the word hypocritical, this is the verbal equivalent of somebody who was two-faced or a hypocrite. This is somebody who is a hypocrite's guilty of being two-faced. Someone who is dilogos or who is double-tongued is guilty of having 2 words. And this isn't talking about the multiplicity of the words or the plurality of your words. It's talking about the difference between those 2 words. So have you ever known somebody, I bet you have, I've known people like this, who says one thing to one group and a completely different thing to another group? Or they say one thing to you and another thing to somebody else. Or they say one thing in your presence and another thing behind your back. This is a verbal hypocrite. It's a person who, verbally speaking, is two-faced. They say one thing in one spot and a different thing in a different place. Here's what's going on with the command against having a deacon that is a verbal hypocrite, a deacon that speaks, we might say, out of both sides of his mouth, to use an English version of the metaphor. Listen, deacons are servants, and servants love to please. Servants are driven by a desire. I want to make you happy. I want to help you. I want to get you the things that you need. And what the prohibition against being double-tongued means is it means there's a kind of service that is not helpful. There is a kind of servant who is driven by a desire to please, such that they will say whatever it takes to make someone happy. If saying thing A is what makes the people in this room happy with me, and saying thing B is what makes the people in the other room happy with me, then I'll do it. I'm aiming to please, I'm aiming to serve, and I want to make everybody happy. And what the Apostle Paul teaches with this requirement is that doesn't work for deacons. We want deacons who love to serve. We want deacons who want to make people happy. But if you're going to be a biblically qualified deacon, you have to be a person of integrity. You have to be a person of conviction. And you can't be driven by fear of the truth. You can't be driven by an ultimate fear that somebody would be unhappy with you, such that you change what you say in order to make someone happy in the moment. So what it means to be double-tongued, and in the context of being a deacon, to not be double-tongued, means that we have servants who love to serve, who love to please, who love to make people happy, but who are not tempted to do that by compromising their speech and speaking out of both sides of their mouth.